Brian Rolapp walked into the Travelers Championship on June 23 with a plan to rewrite professional golf. He did not expect the backlash to start this fast. Rolapp had spent a year building this moment. As the PGA Tour's new CEO and the man about to become commissioner on January 1st, he had one job: fix a tour that LIV Golf had already cracked wide open. His answer was radical: split the entire tour into two tiers. A Premier Championship Series at the top, a secondary Challenger Series below it. Promotion and relegation, borrowed straight from European soccer. He called it a blank sheet of paper. The players are calling it something else entirely. The numbers alone are enough to cause panic. Today's signature events carry purses of $20 million. Under Rolapp's plan, Championship Series events could pay out as much as $37 million. That is an 85% jump for the players at the top. One veteran tournament director, hearing the figure for the first time, reportedly could only say one word: woof. But every dollar added at the top has to come from somewhere, and the players below that line are starting to do the math. Here's the trade nobody saw coming. To get into that $37 million tier, the tour is eliminating something players have relied on for decades: sponsor exemptions. No more special invites into marquee events for a struggling former champion or a hot young amateur. Every single spot in a championship series field now has to be earned through the new system. Lucas Glover, a major champion, called this part smart. He said cutting sponsor exemptions finally makes the tour a true meritocracy. Glover was not fully on board with the rest of it, though. He is the same player who earlier this year said he would not speak to Rolapp again. When reporters asked him about the new structure directly, his answer was blunt. "It stinks," he said, "but it kind of made sense. That is not an endorsement. It is a player swallowing a decision he does not like because he cannot see a way to stop it." Rory McIlroy went further. He did not just question the purse split or the sponsor exemptions. He questioned whether any of this needed to happen at all. Most of the tour's recent changes, McIlroy pointed out, were reactive. They were built to keep players from bolting to LIV. He asked the obvious follow-up question in public. Now that the LIV threat has cooled off, why is the tour still tearing itself apart to fix a problem that might not exist anymore? Rolapp cannot fully answer that question yet, and it is not the only one. The real fear is not about this year. It is about what happens the year a player has a bad season. Under the new system, at least 90 players out of roughly 130 in the championship series will keep their status season to season. The rest get one more shot in a fall last chance series. Miss that, and you are automatically bumped down to the Challenger Series. 20-plus events, $4 million purses, 144-man fields. That is not a demotion in name only. It is a demotion in take-home pay, in field size, in access to the biggest stages in the sport. Here is the part that turns a scheduling change into a career threat. Once a player is locked into the championship series, they are no longer allowed to drop down and play smaller Challenger Series events either, even the ones they used to play every year. Reports have floated names like Scottie Scheffler and Jordan Spieth potentially losing eligibility for events like the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, simply because those events now sit on the wrong tier. Two of the most recognizable players in the sport, boxed out of tournaments they have played for years, not because they are struggling, but because the new rules say they are in the wrong lane. This is where the meritocracy argument starts to wobble, because the players facing relegation are not the stars at the very top. Scheffler and McIlroy are not the ones losing sleep over 90 cutoff spots. It is the middle class of the tour, players ranked 80, 90, 100, who are staring at a system where one bad 6-month stretch could cost them their spot in the sport's best-paying events for an entire year. No warning, no exemption, no safety net. If you were one of those players sitting right on that cutoff line, would you call this system fair, or would you call it a corporate gamble with your career? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more on how this fight plays out. The tour insists this is about building a cleaner, more compelling product for fans. Rolapp has said the entire future competition committee process was built around the voice of the players and the expectations of the fans. Players' public reaction so far tells a slightly different story, though. It is not outright revolt. Nobody has walked out of a meeting or issued an ultimatum. What is happening instead is quieter and in some ways more revealing. A major champion saying the plan stinks even while defending pieces of it. A former world number one openly questioning whether any of this was necessary in the first place. A tournament director reacting to the new purse numbers with disbelief instead of celebration. None of these are coordinated shots across the bow. They are cracks. And cracks in a locker room tend to widen once the actual relegation numbers start hitting real names in 2028. Rolapp has the corporate mandate. He has the boards behind him, the timeline locked in, and a plan built to launch as one complete package rather than a slow trickle of changes the tour has learned tends to invite years of relitigating. That Big Bang strategy is deliberate. Roll every change out at once, before resistance has time to organize into anything more than scattered public quotes. Whether that strategy holds depends entirely on what happens over the next 18 months, as the details get finalized and players start to see exactly where they land on that spreadsheet. The criticism for now is measured. Glover still called parts of it smart. McIlroy raised a question rather than an objection. Still, golf has shown before that a few respected voices can turn into a unified front fast, especially once players who are not superstars realize how much they personally stand to lose. The tour wants a cleaner, simpler, more lucrative product. The players want to know they will not be the ones who pay for it. Both sides are still circling each other in public, testing how far they can push before the other side pushes back. Do you think the players end up forcing real changes to this framework before 2028? Or does Rolapp's plan go through exactly as designed? Drop your prediction below.